Chapter 2. Confession. "No way," said Andou as you pulled victory from the clutches of defeat. "So much for kind of beating me," he said with a smile. "No way. That was pure luck," argued Andou. You looked away from the game and over to her and smiled, to which she smiled back as the two of you sat back into Andou's couch. "Maybe," you relented. "I mean, what can I say? I'm a lucky guy," you replied. "Lucky? How so?" asked Andou. "Well, I'm lucky to have a good friend like you," replied. Andou's eyes lit up for a moment before she turned away from you. It was dark, and her tan skin didn't help much in this regard, but you thought that you could see just a hint of a blush coming from her. You really think so?" she asked. "I do," you replied. "You are an amazing friend, Andou." Andou turned from you and crossed her arms. But what about Oshida? What about her?" you asked. Andou didn't reply to your question as she sat next to you. You moved closer to her and placed a hand on her lap. Andou sniffled a bit as she kept from addressing you. You weren't sure of what to do, as she kept from answering you. You moved your hand from Andou's lap and placed it on her shoulder before quickly closing your eyes and wrapping your arms around her. "Hey," she said, "what are you—" You hugged Andou and she was still for a while before gingerly wrapping her arms around you too. You could hear her sniffles still, small and quiet at first, but they became louder and she tightened her grip on you, and then she called your name. "Andou, can you please tell me what's wrong?" you asked as you pulled away from her somewhat, though not completely as she didn't let go of you. Andou grit her teeth and averted her eyes, but tried nonetheless to speak. I can't." She tried, but she couldn't get her words out. "Is this about what Oshida said?" you asked. Andou nodded. "Andou, honestly, do you think I care about the size of your bust? We're friends." Andou visibly winced when she heard you say the word friends, and suddenly you began thinking about what Oshida might have meant with her words. That you would rather be with Oshida than Andou. Could she have meant... It's not that. I'm confident in my bust. Sort of," she whispered. "That is, if... well... maybe I care about one other person's opinion." So it was the other half of what she said, that I might rather be with her than you asked. Andou nodded. "Andou, do you mean to say... This isn't easy for me to do," she muttered, "but please, let me be the one to say it. I just need a moment to say it." Andou ducked her head as she sat with you, then stated, "Don't look at me as I say this, okay?" "Andou," you started, "just turn around. Please. It's embarrassing to me." You did as she asked and turned your head. Suddenly you felt something warm on your face. Andou's lips pressed against you. You sat motionless as she pulled back and waited for her to speak. "I love you," she choked. You spun around quickly and looked at her. Even with her tan, her face was now such a bright red that anyone could see she was blushing. "Andou," you whispered, "tell me I'm not dreaming. You're not weirded out or anything, are you?" she asked. No. It's just... the truth is, Andou, I've always kind of liked you too. But I doubt you feel as strongly as I do," muttered Andou. "I mean, I wanted to make a move, but I was scared. Scared that I might ruin the relationship that we have, so I held my tongue. I cared more about being with you than I did in what way. You were a jewel in my life, and I couldn't bear to lose you. I guess I'm saying, I love you too," you replied, placing a hand on her cheek. But, started Andou. "But what?" You stopped Andou. What's all this talk about Oshida? I thought she said that you two were friends. We are. Well, kind of. I mean, yeah, I like her. She's cool sometimes, but she can be a real pain more times than not. It's just really hard to be her friend, because we always get so competitive. And, well, I always start fights, replied Andou. Why? You asked. It's just, I get jealous. I don't want her to take you from me. And she's known how I feel about you, and yet you two were... Andou tried to explain. Andou, she and I are just friends, and she's a good friend to me. But I don't feel like I do about you with her. I mean, she's cool and all, yeah. But when I'm with you, I feel like I can just be myself. I don't have to, be some sort of gentleman or eat refined food. You're down to earth, no BS, you replied to her. Yeah, but she's got more femininity to her, said Andou, frowning. To hell with it. I like you just the way you are, and Oshida, Marie, none of these girls have that over you. Andou turned her face to you and smiled, a few tears at her eyes. You smiled back and held her, slowly leaning into first a hug, but then to a kiss. It felt so good to kiss the girl that you'd loved for so long, but I'd never had the courage to ask out properly. And to her, this night was one of only her finest dreams. Your first night as lovers. Suddenly, Andou's stomach growled. Oh, said Andou as she pulled away with embarrassment. Maybe we should finish eating dinner, huh? You suggested. Yeah, we can pick this up afterward, she replied with a smile. You know I'd love to, you replied. The two of you finished eating together. All throughout, though, you never once let go of the other's hand. It was too exciting to. When you finished, you looked at the time on the clock. It's getting kind of late, you sighed. Do you have to go? Asked Andou. Well, I don't know. If I left 20 minutes ago, it probably would already be midnight by the time I make it home on foot, he replied. I don't want you to go out in the cold and the dark. Stay here, with me. I have another toothbrush and, well, I'll let you sleep in my bed with me, she quietly added at the end of her sentence, blushing as she did so. You were very much enjoying this new side of Andou that you were getting to see for the first time. She was never one to show her softer side that much, even to you, a person she was rather close to. I'm not sure who that's a greater favor to, me or you, you joked. Andou's eyes looked into yours and pled. All right, I'll stay. You both brushed before retiring to her small bedroom. It was then that you were able to get a proper look at her room. On one side was a desk which she could write at, and a computer where she could do schoolwork. On the other side sat her bed. Pink sheets, pink covers, and pink pillows. You looked at Andou, who blushed as pink as her bed set. Don't laugh, she whispered. I won't, you said as you pulled her close and kissed her head. The two of you climbed in bed and turned out the lights, settling into the full-sized bed. It wasn't too big, but given that the two of you had settled so close to one another, it wasn't really an issue. You closed your eyes and felt Andou pull herself against you. Her skin was so soft against yours it felt right, as if it were something that was always meant to be. I love you, you whispered to her. I love you too, she replied. Good night, my love, you said, resting your chin on top of her head as she pushed her face into your chest. Good night.